Hi, I'm Amy Romeo and I make faux leather crafting with your Cricut fun and easy. In today's video, I'll be showing you how to make these cute candy heart earrings, perfect for Valentine's Day. And I have the SVG set for this project free on my blog. I'll let you know how to get it in just a moment. But first, let's go over the tools and materials we'll be using. So I'll be using my Cricut Maker today, but you can use any of the current Cricut machines because they all cut faux leather with the standard fine point blade that's included, even the Cricut Joy. If you didn't know that you can cut faux leather with the Cricut Joy, you absolutely can, and I'll link to one of my Cricut Joy tutorials for you. Now the faux leather that I'm using is some pastel solid colors and sheets. You can also get faux leather in rolls, and I'll link to all of these materials for you in the video description. The heat transfer vinyl that I'm using, I'm going to use some red solid heat transfer vinyl. This is Caesar Easy Weed, and because these letters are small, you're going to want to choose a brand of vinyl that is really easy to weed when the details are very intricate. So I like Caesar Easy Weed. And then I'm going to show you how to put a back on the faux leather earrings using heat transfer vinyl as well. For the back, I'm going to use some Cricut foil iron-on. This step is optional, and you can use any heat transfer vinyl you'd like. Now I'll be using my purple strong grip mat to cut my faux leather. If you don't have a purple strong grip mat, you can use a really new sticky green mat if that's what you have. And then I'll cut the vinyl with my green mat. To press my heat transfer vinyl onto the faux leather, I'm going to use my Easy Press Mini. It's a great size and it's very easy to press detailed areas, but you could also use a larger Easy Press if that's what you have. Now for the faux leather cutting, I'll be using some blue painter's tape. I'll show you how this helps us get really good cuts. And then I also have some small curved scissors. This is great for trimming up the edges of faux leather. I have a weeding tool. I have my heat pressing pad and a cover sheet. I'll show you how to use that. And if your Cricut doesn't cut the holes all the way through, no worries. I use a 1/16 inch hole punch. These are very inexpensive on Amazon. If you're going to make a lot of faux leather earrings, this is a great thing to have. And then to finish off the earrings, I'll just be using some regular earring hooks and some 6mm jump rings with some jewelry making pliers. And I'll show you that step as well. Okay, so let me show you how to get the SVG file for this project, and then we'll hop into Design Space and we'll start to make our earrings. To get the SVG files for this project free from my blog, just visit amyromeo.com/design218. Enter your name and your best email address, and I will send them right over to you. Starting with a blank canvas in Cricut Design Space, you'll click on Upload, and then Upload Image, and you're going to browse to where the unzipped SVG files for this project are saved on your device. Click on it to select it, and then click Open. You'll see a preview of the candy heart earring shapes. Click Continue, and then Upload. So you'll see here I've designed 6 different candy heart options for you with different text, and I've given you a with pre-cut earring holes version and without. The reason I do that is if you wanted to change the size of your earrings, either make them a lot bigger or a lot smaller, that's going to change the size of your earring hole. So then you would want to start with the without holes version and then punch your own earring holes or create your own earring holes in Cricut Design Space. And I have a video that I'll link to for you to show you how to make your own holes. Also, I wanted to mention, if you are making this project and you don't have all of these different colors of faux leather, I have a video on how to create your own color of faux leather just by using heat transfer vinyl. So I'll link to that for you as well. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is ungroup all of these shapes so that I can delete the ones that I'm not going to be making today off of my canvas. So I'm going to go ahead, we're just going to make one pair so you can get the idea. Here you can see this is a pretty basic 2-layer pattern. The bottom layer will cut from faux leather and the top layer will cut from heat transfer vinyl. So I'm going to go ahead and click the Make It button. We're cutting our materials on a mat. And the first thing we want to do is go through both of our mats and toggle that mirror button on, because faux leather and heat transfer vinyl both cut in reverse and your mats need to be mirrored. Then I want to go through and just drag my shapes apart a little bit from the edges of my mat and from each other. That's because we'll be putting our faux leather down and we'll be taping around with blue painter's tape, so we want a little bit of room for that. Here in my vinyl mat, I'm going to go ahead and click on both of my vinyl shapes again dragging them away from the edges of the mat and just away from each other. It makes them easier to weed. So I'll click back here on my faux leather mat, click continue. And I'll be using the faux leather paper thin setting to cut my mat. It doesn't matter if your faux leather is paper thin or not, that's just what they call the cut setting. If you don't have this setting bookmarked as a favorite like I do, you can click on Browse All Materials and search for it. If you're using the Explore Air 2, you can definitely cut faux leather with that machine. You'll just need to turn your dial to custom before you can search for and find this setting. So faux leather paper thin is the setting, and I always choose more pressure. Here's that reminder that we're just using the regular fine point blade that comes with our machine. For the heat transfer vinyl mat, you'll want to use the cut setting that corresponds with the manufacturer and the brand and type of heat transfer vinyl you are using. Okay, let's hop back over to my overhead camera and we'll take the next step. So our faux leather mat is ready to cut, but before we do that, I want to show you how to put it back on your faux leather before you make the cut so that your earrings will already have a finished and professional look on the back. This also adds a little stiffness and it keeps your earrings from curling. So this is a very common question. What do you put on the back of faux leather earrings? And this is my favorite technique. It's from a video that I made that shows you 4 different ways to put a back on faux leather earrings, and I'll leave a link so you can check that out. But basically what we're doing is cutting a piece of faux leather that's just slightly larger than our shapes that are going to cut, and I got this size from the mat preview screen. And then I cut a piece of foil iron-on in this case that's just slightly smaller than my faux leather piece, and I'm putting them back to back. I'm going to put this down on my heat pressing pad, and I have my Easy Press Mini set to the low setting. Now if you're pressing faux leather with a larger heat press, I recommend setting the temperature to about 265 degrees. Heat transfer vinyl usually presses at a higher temperature, but with faux leather, we want to go a little lower to protect the surface of the faux leather. Okay, so we've got our heat transfer vinyl and our faux leather back to back. I'm just going to cover with my cover sheet. Now this is a Teflon sheet that I've trimmed down to a smaller size, but you could also use butcher paper or parchment paper. Now what I'm going to do is just press all over for at least 10 seconds. So I get 10 seconds of firm pressure all over the back of this piece of faux leather. Once you've pressed all over, then what you want to do is try to keep the faux leather flat and then lift up a corner of the clear cover sheet on top of your heat transfer vinyl, keeping that faux leather flat, and I'm going to gently peel. And as I peel, I'm looking for wrinkles or lifting in the vinyl. If you see any of that, then just place this right back down, cover, and press some more. But this one's looking pretty good. The reason I'm keeping this flat is I don't want my foil iron-on to wrinkle when it bends. So I'm just keeping that flat, and this looks pretty good. Now it's really important that your heat transfer vinyl is well adhered to the faux leather. So you can kind of start to see a little bit of the texture coming through of the material underneath, but I'm going to cover and press some more because I really want this down well. And that's because when the blade runs through this foil iron-on, we don't want it to rip or tear. So I'm just covering, pressing a little bit more, making sure that it's really well pressed down. And that looks good. You can see even a little more of the texture. So this is ready to go. I've got my purple strong grip mat, and now I'm going to take my faux leather and place it pretty side down on my purple strong grip mat, right in that spot I saw in the mat preview screen where our shapes are going to cut. Now I'm just going to use some blue painter's tape and tape this down on all sides. This is going to keep our faux leather from shifting while the blade runs through it, and it's going to help us get a really good faux leather cut. So we have our faux leather paper thin cut setting with more pressure ready to go. So I'm just going to load this into the Cricut and begin the cut. So the cut is run one time, and before I unload the mat, I want to use my sharp weeding tool just to lift up the edge to see if the cut went all the way through. And if it didn't, that's okay. That happens a lot. You can just press the cut button again as many times as you need to, as long as you haven't unloaded your mat. So this is a small shape and there is a small hole. So I'm going to go ahead and repeat the cut just to make sure that it cuts all the way through. So every time you make a cut, you're going to want to go through and just check with that sharp weeding tool. I know it's a little hard for you to see up here, but this is looking pretty good. I'm going to unload my mat and remove my shapes. So my two little hearts have cut out, and let me show you the back. So the back has that heat transfer vinyl, that foil iron-on, and you can see where the Cricut cut the hole here. And if the hole didn't cut all the way through, don't worry, I'm going to show you how to cut it completely with that 1/16 inch hole punch. There's also a little bit of ridging on the back here where the blade went through. So I'm just going to pop these back on my heat pressing pad, and we'll press them for just a few more seconds. There we go. So the backs look finished and the fronts look really good. If you have any little fuzzies that you need to trim up on the edges of your faux leather, you can do that with your little curved scissors. And again, I'm going to show you just how to use that 1/16 inch hole punch. So I like to turn it over on the back because then you can really see where the Cricut was making that hole. And I like to do both of them at the same time. So I'll put them front to front. That way we know our hole is going in the same place on both at once. And I'm just going to line this up. This works like a regular hole punch. Just going to line it up, kind of see where that hole is going to be poked, and then squeeze. Now, if your hole already cut through well with your Cricut, then you can skip that step, but I did want to show you how to make your own hole if you need to. Okay, now I'm going to return to Design Space and cut out my heat transfer vinyl mat, and then I'll show you how to finish the earrings. So I've got my vinyl letters weeded out and my little faux leather earrings ready to go. And I've got my heat pressing pad set on my surface and my Easy Press Mini set to that low setting. Again, if you're using a larger Easy Press or a heat press, set it to about 265 degrees. So now all I need to do is take my little heat transfer vinyl layer, and I'm going to want to line this up on my little candy heart so that it's nice and straight. And just take a moment, make sure you've got that the way you want it. And then we're going to try and make this one look exactly the same. Take your time with it so you're happy with the placement on each. Then we're just going to cover with our little cover sheet again and press. Now these are small and they're close together, so I can just press them both at the same time, which is super easy. So I've pressed for about 7 to 10 seconds, and I'm going to very slowly peel away the clear carrier sheet of my heat transfer vinyl. If when you're peeling, again, your vinyl lifts up, just place this right back down and press some more. But that looks pretty good. And now we'll repeat with the other one. And those are super cute. Now these are warm and we don't want them to curl as they're cooling, so I'm going to place them underneath my heat pressing pad for just about 1 minute so that they cool nice and flat. Now while we're doing that, I have my shepherd earring hooks ready to go. Now these come with the loop parallel, the little bottom loop here parallel to the earring hook. What I want to do is to have them face forward so that our earrings will hang straight. And I have a whole video on how to do this and why that I'll link to for you, but I've already turned my little earring loop here with my pliers so they face forward. So I have 2 of those earring hooks. If you don't want to get in the business of turning them forward, you can also buy them now where the little earring loop is the correct way, and I'll link to some of those for you. So I have my earring hooks and I also have some 6mm jump rings. So all we need to do now is use our pliers and open up those jump rings. Then I'm going to slide on my earring shape. Attach my earring hook, make sure it's going in the right direction, and close it back up. And there you have it. Aren't those cute? So here's another look at the 6 designs that I've created for you. Remember, you can get those sent to you free just by visiting amyromeo.com/design218. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.